three things. Number one, everything you think about the deadlift is probably wrong, by Greg Nuckols, an awesome article, which there'll be a link in the description. Number two, the perfect deadlift video is truly an individual thing. This video attempts to essentially try to figure out what my perfect deadlift will look like. So what yours will look like might be a little bit different because of strengths, weaknesses, training experience, injuries, and whatnot. And number three, take my advice with a grain of salt. Agree with the good, leave a comment if you disagree, and let's get better together. Believe it or not, I almost did leg press today, but I somehow convinced myself I can squat. There's a way I can squat. My elbow's bothering me, but I need to squat because I need to work on my quads. So, forgot about this safety squat bar. Fit some time in to try to essentially use a leg press, but with a barbell. Don't want to use a leg press because I honestly hate the leg press. Once you squat a while, the leg press is a shitty exercise because not only do people make fun of people using the leg press, that's not even the main reason. The main reason is the fact that it's just uncomfortable as hell if you've been squatting and deadlifting for any period of time. And here you see me doing partial box squats, and sort of what I'm doing is I'm just simulating a leg press, trying to work on my quads. I need to find a way to work on my quads because I haven't been spending the time necessary. I'm basically getting overdevelopment of my posterior chain because I haven't been able to squat a whole lot due to elbow and some knee issues. So, to the task at hand, let's work on the deadlift. I'm working on pause deadlift with this workout program today. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out the right position for the deadlift. This is one of the key things that I've learned when I did the Condito training program for about, I think, 6 weeks almost. I didn't complete a full cycle, but the pause deadlift, when I was deadlifting twice a week, allowed me to find the perfect position for holding better tightness. And you can see how I pull the bar off the ground and try to find the lowest position I can essentially get the most leg drive and get the most leverage to get the bar to break the ground and essentially get the best leverage out of the pull. In my previous videos, I made two videos, one about hips being too low and another deadlift video about the hips being a little too high. There will be a link in the description of those two videos in case you haven't seen them yet, about finding the ideal pull position to get the most out of the lift. And essentially what I did was showing you the two things that were wrong in my deadlift in the past and kind of where I'm at right now with trying to find that perfect and ideal pull position. The pause deadlift is a great way to sort of feel what you're supposed to feel, the right position you're supposed to feel, and get the hips low enough so that when you pull the weight off the ground, your shins are vertical and you're at the best position to get the most out of the lift. And kind of what I'm noticing here watching this video of me lift from a side angle, it looks like I can afford a little bit bigger arch, which allows for a little bit more glute and leg drive and allows for a deeper hip bend or more hip flexion, which allows for more essentially more hamstring and glutes to fire up. And that's kind of what I'm seeing in this this position on myself, because at max weights, the one thing to consider is that when you pull the bar off the ground, speed is everything. Speed is pretty much arguably the most important thing when it comes to your max lift on a powerlifting meet, trying to set a PR. The 600-pound deadlift I'm gonna get by the end of the year is not gonna be all just technique. It's going to be a lot of speed. It's going to be a lot of raw strength also. I guess I'm putting so much emphasis on technique because I want to eke every single little bit out of my technique to make sure that I'm dialed in. But then there goes without saying that 600-pounder is going to be a hell of a fucking grinder. It's going to be a bitch to pull, and I can't underestimate how difficult it's going to be. Now there's a lot of rear shots and side shots of this particular workout because I wanted to assess how I'm moving, making sure that my shin is vertical, making sure that my position when I pull the bar off the ground is ideal. And as far as I can tell, there's not a whole lot I can eke out of this position. I mean, I can see that you see my thigh position, my upper leg, my thigh bone, and then my torso. There could be a little bit more of a flexion in there, meaning more of a V, if I maybe turn my feet out more. That way I can kind of get a little bit more flex in the hip, allowing me to get more glute and external rotation activation. That's sort of what I see. And that's definitely something I'm going to try. I'm going to have to turn my feet out just a little bit more so I can get that from the start. But what I find the pause deadlift to be is to sort of get a chance to slow things down. Get a feel for what you should be feeling and sort of basically work on staying tight, essentially getting time under tension, not necessarily in the muscles that that you're lifting within the deadlift that's going to improve your 1 rep max, but it's really more the tightness in the core, because in the pause deadlift you're going to definitely spend a lot more time staying tight than doing max effort work because of the sheer amount of volume. Of course, it's not necessarily the same because the weight's not the same, but the main thing to consider is getting that rocking back position, essentially getting those hips back. I mean, I talked in my workout log in Powerlifting to Win, I talked about I wrote a little log there and I talked about Matt Winning. Matt Winning is a really strong power lifter. You Google him. He did a conventional deadlift of 750. I think he's pulled over 800, and the way he did it was his heels were almost touching. And I'm starting to wonder if that's kind of how I need to go in that direction, because it seems to be that I'm getting really stuck around the. I mean, I'm grinding everything above 505. I mean, it's like, for anything below 495, it's basically cake, right? And then I don't know, maybe there's a psychological barrier. There probably is a subconscious psychological barrier, but if there's one thing for sure is that I'm building strength, I'm getting stronger, I'm demolishing myself in the gym, I'm eating well, I'm getting enough sleep, and I'm doing the best I can to essentially stay strong, recover well, and just, again, get the most out of myself. And you can see here doing these stiff-legged deficits are killer. These are devastating. Just the number of reps, I'm not used to these high rep stuff. But what can I say? All I can really say is that if you're trying to get the perfect deadlift, you need to get your hips as low as you possibly can when the bar breaks the ground, when it leaves the ground. If your hips are too low when the hips break the ground, what's going to happen is you'll tip forward. So it's understanding you need to find that right ideal position. Probably one last thing I'll mention is that if you look at the last video of Eric Lillibridge, he just posted tonight, PR 906 pounds. You should watch him deadlift. He is probably one of the best people that I like to watch because you get to see how he explodes into the bar and gets underneath the bar. Probably the best deadlift I've seen. I would argue it's better than Pete Rubish, at least for a 1 repetition max. So I don't know. They're different lifters. They have different joint angles and positions and whatnot. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. If you are listening up to this point, I would love you to make a comment, ask a question, or any suggestions, or just your experience with essentially getting stuck on the deadlift, or stuck in any weight for that matter. I want to talk about the deadlift because that's the only exercise I really know really well. So what numbers have you been stuck at for what time? And I like to know kind of like where have you been stuck for a long time and then you finally broke through it, and tell me where you're stuck now if that's the case. All right, thanks for watching.